Eggs or egg whites are a very interesting ingredient in cocktails. And you may be thinking that they're a little bit out of place in a cocktail, but there are many, many classic and modern cocktail recipes that use the whole egg or just the egg whites. And in this video, we're gonna be talking about why we use egg whites or eggs in cocktails, how to safely do it, and then I'm gonna be showing you 2 different cocktail recipes that incorporate egg whites so that you can try this at home. So first start is I should say that using the egg yolk or the whole egg versus just the egg whites, there is a variation and they do work differently in cocktails. So for the sake of this video, we're gonna be focusing solely on using egg whites in a cocktail and not the whole egg. If that is something that interests you, let me know in the comments below because I can explore that in a future video. But for this one, again, we're gonna be focusing solely on the egg white. And so what do the egg whites do in a cocktail? Well, if done correctly, it will create a light, fluffy, velvety, silky smooth texture to the cocktail that you put it into. And so you must be thinking, well, that doesn't really sound very safe to be just adding raw eggs to a cocktail. Well, that's why the technique and the method that you do it really makes a big difference. But I'll touch upon that technique when we start making the cocktails in a little bit. Throughout history, so many different bartenders have utilized eggs, egg whites, whole eggs in classic cocktails. Cocktails such as the Pisco Sour and the Whiskey Sour, which I'm gonna be showing you today, are just 2 of the different recipes that call for egg whites in them. But there are so many out there that utilize egg whites. And so what I'm gonna teach you right now is how to properly do it so that you are not getting anyone sick or doing it incorrectly so that you're like, oh my God, this tastes disgusting. So let's jump into making the first cocktail, and we're gonna make a Pisco Sour, and I'll explain as we go along. So the Pisco Sour is by far one of the most iconic South American cocktails and the definitive Pisco cocktail out there. And we're gonna be making one of those because egg whites are a key ingredient in getting a Pisco Sour right. And we're gonna be using the Pisco Sour recipe from Spirits of Latin America, which I'll link in the description below if you're interested. So the first thing that we're gonna do is 2 ounces of our Acholado Pisco. I'm using Caravedo Acholado Pisco. 2 ounces of that. We are going to do a 1/2 ounce of freshly squeezed lime juice. Citrus is very important when working with egg whites because it helps to really froth up the egg, and in a way, I don't want to say that it cooks it, but it kind of cooks the egg with the citrus and the alcohol. It makes it a little bit safer to drink. We are also going to do a 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. We are going to do 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup. And last but not least, the most important part, we are going to be doing 1 egg white. If you're starting out, I recommend that you break your egg and put the egg white into a separate tin in case you get some of the shell in there, and then you can try again. So we're gonna try and get this on the first shot. I grabbed our big tin. All of our ingredients are still in this one here. So let's crack this over the side here. And then what I do is I like to crack it on the side, crack open the egg, and then I'm gonna roll the yolk back and forth until just the egg white comes out. That was pretty quick, and I was able to get that as I was speaking. But as you can see, the egg yolk is still there, and we only got the egg white in the tin. Now, this next part is the absolute most crucial part of working with egg whites in any cocktail. You're essentially going to do 2 different sets of shaking. First step, we are going to do what's known as a dry shake, meaning there will be no ice in the tin. And the reason we do this is that we're going to really froth up that egg before we introduce the ice and do it again. And we will be shaking for way longer than you would a normal cocktail because we really want to make sure that we are making this egg white as safe to drink as humanly possible. So I'm going to combine both of my tins here. I'm going to just dump the ingredients in here, and then I'm gonna lock up our tin, and we're gonna shake this for about 30 seconds to a minute. I'm gonna speed it up so that you don't have to just watch it. Don't worry, it is perfectly normal to work up a sweat, or at least that's what I tell myself. And so after we've done our dry shake, we're going to crack open our tin, and we're going to introduce ice and then do it again. Another reason why we do 2 steps is that all this does is to froth up the egg and start to create that kind of meringue kind of texture, but we still have to add ice because, as we know, no cocktail is complete until we introduce water and chill it down. All right, so now we're going to add ice to our big tin, about 1 scoop, and then we're going to lock this up again, and now we're going to do our wet shake, again for 30 seconds to about a minute. Whew, all right. I'm telling you, working with egg whites is no joke. But all right, we got a nice frosty tin here. We are going to grab our coupe glass, put it right there. We're gonna pop open our tin. And this next step is also very, very important. We need to double strain this using both a Hawthorne and a fine mesh strainer, just to make sure that none of this egg white is kind of clumping up or anything like that, and to really kind of sift through it to make sure we're getting just what we want into the glass. And so you're gonna see that it's much fluffier and more velvety than other kind of cocktails. And then we're gonna let it settle for a little bit as well. It does tend to froth up a lot, so you end up with a lot more volume in your tin than you're normally accustomed to with regular cocktails. So we're gonna let this sit for just a little bit, and we're gonna see most of the foam settle at the top. But this is how you know that you did it correctly. You have a nice fluffy layer over the top. It's very, very sticky in a way. It's almost like a marshmallow in a way. It's kind of bouncy. I don't suggest you poke the top of your sour cocktails when making it for friends. But when it comes out this way, you know you've done it correctly. If you don't shake enough, you will not get that volume with the egg white, and then you're gonna have a very flat cocktail that kind of tastes like eggs, and that's not what anybody wants. And then no Pisco Sour is complete without a couple of drops of Angostura over the top, which really highlights one of the really awesome fun parts about working with egg whites, is that you can then get very creative with design. So for example, because it's so light and fluffy, you can drop Angostura bitters over the top and they'll stay at the top, and then you can draw a design. So for example, I'm gonna do a couple of drops, and we're gonna basically make a leaf shape with a pick. And then we're gonna grab our pick here, and we are going to do a little pattern. And there you have a classic Pisco Sour. And if you can see, there's that egg white more on the top. It's nice, velvety, smooth. And then on the bottom, you have the rest of the cocktail. But it still is all incorporated. But that's just one of the fun uses for egg whites in a cocktail. But let's move on to the next one, because this is another classic that I think you guys would want to know about. All right, so the next cocktail we're gonna make is a classic whiskey sour. So same principles apply. I'm gonna make this one a little bit quicker. So we're gonna do 2 ounces of, I'm using rye whiskey because I like a little bit more spice in my whiskey sours. We're gonna do 2 ounces of rye whiskey. We are going to do 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. We're gonna do 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup. And then we're gonna do our egg white. And then just to be safe again, we're gonna do in our big tin. You can add a drop or 2 of Angostura bitters if you'd like to really kind of spice it up, which we will. So we'll just do one drop of Angostura bitters. And then we're gonna crack our egg again on the side of our tin, and we're only gonna get the egg white in there. And there's that, ooh, a little bit more. And now for our dry shake and then our wet shake. And then add ice and repeat. All right, let's pop that open. All right. Nice, fluffy, looks like a good egg white cocktail. And grab our low ball, a large cube, and again, we're gonna double strain this out over our large cube. Again, lots and lots of volume. The classic garnish of a whiskey sour is a skewered Luxardo cherry. And we'll put that right there. And again, nice head over the top, nice and marshmallowy almost. And then we're gonna give that a sip. Velvety smooth, delicious. The lemon, sugar, and whiskey combine beautifully with that egg to really transform what is already kind of a classic cocktail into something just a little bit more. It is an exquisite use of egg whites, and it's just absolutely delicious. But there you have it, my friends. I hope you're able to learn how to safely use egg whites and why you should use egg whites in cocktails. Maybe not all the time, but sometimes, because it adds a really nice variety and fun layer to cocktails. If you enjoyed this video, it would mean the world to me if you consider subscribing. I post videos every single week. And if you'd like to find out a couple more egg white cocktails, I'm gonna leave 2 right over here for you to check out, all right? We'll catch you guys in the next one. I got 2 cocktails to drink. Cheers.